Hey y'all, welcome to Ham Radio. This is a little short update. There's some issues going on at the legislative level that Ben and I really thought you guys would want to know about. Ben has the actual facts. I'm just here to look pretty on camera, but we're going to talk a little bit. There's been an op-ed. There's been some legislation passing the House. Now, this is about the USF-SM University of South Florida, Sarasota-Manatee campus, for those who are not in the lingo, being given to New College. What are we even calling that, Ben?
Yeah, it's fair for us, fairly unexpected. I mean, several months ago, we would not have thought that this is where all the action would be in the legislative session and also in the local community. There's a lot of activity about this, including a community forum that's being held tonight at USF by people who are involved in the Save USF Sarasota-Manatee movement. So this is basically a proposal that, in my view, originated with Richard Corcoran. And he said, give me USF Sarasota-Manatee's campus. I believe this to have happened. For him to have sort of initiated this. So this would come
from somewhere, right?
Right.
Nobody else suggested it beforehand.
Right. I'm trying to be careful with my words because I can't prove what happened in private conversations that I wasn't in, but I can make inferences, and that's what I'm doing. And you can reach your own conclusions. But I think so. He's always had a sort of territorial ambitions, like acquiring real estate has been a big focus, even though the college still doesn't have enough students to really need a lot more real estate than it currently has. And indeed, you could argue some of its existing real estate is underutilized. But this has been a hallmark of his administration for reasons I don't think any of us entirely understand. Why does he want more and more real estate? The Car Museum and Hal Crosley Estate and other properties. And now, the main USF Sarasota-Manatee campus. So it would not be a merger, because a merger is where you pull together operations. This is not about operations, except in the sense of just teaching out the students who are already enrolled there. Like they would be able, for at least a limited period of time, to finish up their degrees. It's not about that. It's about acquiring the buildings and the land. So
that does make a little bit more sense to me, who's just been like, well, what is this going to have on the administrative side? But it's about the land and the housing. This is something NCA has talked about in the past a lot, is the housing situation for new college students. So I know that that's been an issue as well. So,
right. I mean, that, from my perspective, that's perhaps the one part of this that makes sense, is new college does need more dormitory space. That's a real issue of concern among the students, that they've been bouncing around from hotels the college has leased. And for a while there were those portable dorms, and there's a serious sentiment among them. Their housing situation has to be more stable, more comfortable. Well,
valid.
USF Sarasota-Manatee does have a nice 200-bed dormitory that it has historically underused, because most of it hasn't really moved away from commuter students in the way it imagined it might. So that's perhaps the one part of this deal that makes sense. And Corcoran has already had a deal with USF Sarasota-Manatee where he can house some new college students in that dormitory. So acquiring the dormitory, I mean, I can at least make a logical argument for that. It's the rest of this, Atala Hall and all the other facilities and land there. What exactly is the plan with that? In fact, they can manifest as a burden. Because there's, even these relatively new buildings have ongoing maintenance requirements, and even just the electric bills are a surprisingly large expense on a college budget. So
on my budget, electric bills have gone wild. Like I'm here in Florida, for those who don't know. Like I'm up in Tallahassee, electric gone up, folks. It's gone up high.
Yeah.
So, and for commercial, higher ed properties, I can't even imagine what that kind of bill would be.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what kind of rate they're given, but it's on par with what other people are given from. I don't know if they have some kind of nonprofit rate, but it's not like dramatically less than probably a residential electric bill. And then these are spacious. Atala Hall is a spacious, kind of.
It's a nice they're nice buildings. It's a
They
nice
are, yeah.
campus. This is hardly in any way, shape, or form a slight against them. But we have had a couple of things that have happened over the last week that you're talking about as we record this. There's the forum meeting tonight. Brian Cody has had a op-ed. It's an op-ed in the Tallahassee Democrat. I know you wanted to talk about that,
Yeah.
as well as some other legislation stuff that's going on. So just kind of give our listeners, our community, a little rundown on what has been happening, what's out there right now.
Yeah, so the legislative picture is this proposal that would allow New College to acquire the USF Sarasota-Manatee campus has passed in the Florida State House of Representatives. So it now, in order to move forward, must be passed by the Florida Senate. So that's a key locus of action right now, the Florida Senate.
Can people do anything about that? Can they call? Would it help for them to call their
Yeah, I mean,
state senators or write letters or emails?
there's not that many state senators in the whole state. I think it is if a New College alumnus calls up their state senator, if they're any alum who lives in Florida, call up your state senator or write them an email and just say, I'm an alum. I'm curious about this. Those are very, very worthwhile conversations to have. We would be super interested to hear, how it goes.
Yeah.
If you want to provide them concerns, they should look at their financial, as something we haven't gotten into yet. The deal would involve New College not only taking on, those facilities and all their expenses, which is arguably a good thing, right? Because at least you got these facilities. Maybe you can expand your student body and use them for classes and stuff. I mean, you could at least imagine an argument, but it would also involve New College taking on an immense amount of debt that USF has accumulated. And the debt is so large that USF currently can't pay the debt service just with the revenue from USF Sarasota-Manatee. So it actually uses revenue from other campuses to pay the debt service. And it would just give all this debt to New College. And New College truly has no business plan that can accommodate. I mean, it's articulated no plan that can accommodate this debt, other than, of course, if the legislature continues with incredible largesse every year, and just makes big appropriations to New College. Well, yeah, you can pay debt service with that, but you have to think into the future beyond Ron DeSantis' administration and wonder how that's going to work. Nathan Allen, who's been a very involved alum in recent affairs of New Colleges, as many of you know, wrote an op-ed in the Tampa Bay Times on February 13th, Progress at New College of Florida, let's dig into the numbers. So he's looking at the college's current position and with a view toward what this deal might mean for it. So he talks about how New College doesn't have very good access to credit markets right now because New College kind of struggled along through the, up until Richard Corcoran became president, and it hasn't solved this problem since. What happened is, it needed to borrow money, and it borrowed a lot of money. When a creditor looks at you and you have a lot of debts and not that much, and your liabilities, and your assets don't exceed your debts by that much, then, it's kind of hard to access credit. That's what he means by that. It's a very simple concept, but the issue is taking more debt, adding it on. So February 13th, op-ed in Tampa Bay Times by Nathan Allen. And so that's something you could ask your state senator about. That's the point. The other thing that's happening is a budget process in parallel, which, is now in the Florida House and Florida Senate. Things could happen there very quickly.
Things.
Well, a weird little detail, which in some ways would ameliorate this issue of the debt is there's a proposal in the House version of the budget to take $23 million of revenue from USF and transfer it to New College. And it's quite bizarre. As you might imagine, most of the people involved with USF are against that. It's a proposal that stands out for its bizarre nature. And if you look at Brian Cody's op-ed in the Tallahassee Democrat today, February 25th, I believe it addresses that. So I'm just kind of looking it over now, but
Yeah, I saw it when it went up earlier, but I definitely don't have it memorized. He brought up some very good points on what
yeah,
just I'm sorry, but like sometimes you tell me
yeah,
these things are things I've kind of know about because I am involved with the NCA and I am keeping up with the news, but it's like I don't think about them too hard sometimes because I'm just trying to keep my head down and get work done. And then you're like, oh yeah, they're doing this
oh
wild,
no,
outrageous, wild thing. I'm just like, what? What?
no, it's way too. It's a fire hose of information. I mean, Grant Balfour's weekly news
Oh
updates
yeah.
usually have a dozen articles about New College. So I'm looking at Brian's op-ed now, and he's not directly talking about the transfer of revenue, but he's talking about how it's sort of a he describes New College as a scavenger. Right? Like New College is this beast that's not. He literally
Aw,
that's
that makes me sad.
the headline the Tally D used is Corcoran scavenging is bad for Florida's higher ed arena. So I mean, you have this college that's struggling, and so it's just eating parts of other colleges, including both physical plant and revenue streams. So anyway, and I have to congratulate, to get to get an op-ed in the Tallahassee Democrat right in the middle of the legislative session is a big deal. So congratulations to Brian.
Yeah, definitely. As someone who lives up here in Tallahassee, I know how, like, people joke about local newspapers, but a lot of legislators and lobbyists read the Tallahassee Democrat. It's probably why it still exists, is because it is an important point of reference. There's others, there's Florida Politics and Politico and all those ones, but for local, personal down home touch, that is definitely a score for him. Want to keep this one short, so just wrap up to a little bit. Tell like people who are as weirded out as I am by all that's going on. We've talked about they could call or email their representatives, their state representatives, their legislators. Anything else you might recommend for people if they feel like they need to take action on some of this that's going on?
No, we would really value that if you reach out to your legislator's office and say, I'm concerned about this proposal and what it might mean for New College, and get in touch with us. You can write to me at ben@novocollegian.org, and you can write to Bill Rosenberg, NCA's president, at william@novocollegian.org. And we also have the monthly office hours if that happens to be convenient. You drop in, but that's what's unfolding now, and we just kind of wanted to give you a little legislative update.
Yeah, I'm going to try to push this one out real quick so people are aware what's going on. And we appreciate everybody tuning in to find out what's going on. Like you said, Ben, it's a fire hose. We could probably post something like this every day and still not keep up with it.
Yeah, we'll try to
I don't have that time, but we'll
try to be your curators so we can make it a little more legible for you.
Absolutely. And, if you are interested in looking at some of the news articles, we have some great resources. We have the news database, which collects it's amazing. Grant has spent years collecting all these. Reverend Grant Balfour, has spent years collecting, following the news and collecting this. So the NCA has put it into a sortable database. It's an ocean database, real easy to use. If you're looking for a specific topic or a specific event, that's there. We also have whathappenedtonewcollege.org, which has a timeline, both the first year timeline and an interactive one that has a complete list of events of everything that's happened over the last 3 years. So we have some resources that the NCA is glad to share with the community. And again, if you do want to reach out to Ben, or if you can't remember his address, we'll have it in the notes to this episode. Or you could just go to our website and click email. If I get anything, I'll forward it on to him. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.